long Halloween has been around? Anyone at all? It's been around for 2,000 years. It started with the Celts in northwestern Europe. And so since Halloween's coming up, I want to just tell you guys a little bit about the history and how it came to be how it is today. So it started with the Celts, and then when the Roman Catholics expanded into northwestern Europe, then it changed a little bit, and then I'm going to explain how it changed when it came over to America. So, starting with the Celts. They celebrated a holiday called Samhain. It's spelled way off, but that's how it's pronounced, Samhain. And it was a celebration of the harvest of that year, and today we call it the Celtic New Year, but back in their culture they just viewed it as the transition from the light half of the year to the dark half. They viewed the year as two halves, and the dark half started on November 1st, and it was celebrated on November 1st, but the festivities actually started the night before, on October 31st. And all my sources, the ones that I used are on each slide, like on for the information. And so this one came from Natalie Smith on an article she had called Halloween History. And I used 3 of them throughout the whole thing. So how they celebrated it, they believed that on the night of October 31st that spirits roamed the earth, and so they were very involved in ghost stories. So they would celebrate by feasting with the harvest that they had and telling ghost stories all night. They also left food out for the wandering spirits, and this would be the first idea of treats and trick-or-treating. And then they also would carve out turnips and hollow them out to put candles in them and illuminate them like a jack-o'-lantern today, but they used turnips. And then in the 8th century, the Roman Catholics expanded up into the northwestern area of Europe where the Celts were, and it went through a few changes. They established 2 holidays. The first one was All Hallows Day, and that was in the 8th century, and that was celebrated on November 1st. And then the second one was All Souls Day, which was established in the 10th century, and that was celebrated on November 2nd. October 31st was then recognized as All Hallows Eve, and it was later just shortened to Halloween, and so that's where we got the name of Halloween. And in the 14th and 15th century, poor people in England started dressing up and knocking on the doors of the rich people during All Hallows Day to ask for food and money, and this was the first sign of trick-or-treating. And then, when people in Europe migrated to America, they migrated in the 1600s, but Halloween wasn't a very big holiday until the mid-1800s when the Irish and the Scottish migrated, because they were the main people who celebrated Halloween. And when they came to America, they used pumpkins instead of turnips because turnips weren't as easy to find and pumpkins were abundant and much easier to get their hands on. So instead of hollowing out turnips, they decided to hollow out pumpkins. Oh, and also in the 1930s was when kids actually started to do real trick-or-treating, what they do today, and that's how the trick-or-treating that we see today on October 31st started. And today, 70% of people in America celebrate Halloween every year.